Okay, today we're going to mess around with Adobe Premiere Pro. Let's get started. Okay, go over to your Finder, click on Finder, Applications, Adobe Premiere Suite. These are all different things you can mess around with, Photoshop, Illustrator. Pretty cool. You know, if you have some free time, you want to play around with this stuff a little bit. For us, we want Premiere Pro CS6. Click on that. It'll fire up for us here. Okay, once the box shows up, click on, let's get out of this stuff, click on New Project. Okay, here we want to title it, so we're going to title it PP Music, just like our folder that we've already made and put our stuff in. And here's what very important, click on the Browse, you're going to go to Desktop, if it's not already there, you're going to find that folder that we already created with all of our stuff, and you're going to choose that, and it's going to show up down here, and that means all of the stuff is in that folder. I've already done it, so I'm going to hit yes. And that's where it's always going to look. If you don't make sure Adobe knows where to look, you're going to lose everything. Here, okay, here, we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then you're going to have your little screen, just like iMovie, but a little bit more complicated. This is where you'll be viewing your stuff. This is where the Effect tab here is where you have your audio transitions and transitions for video. That's what you're going to be doing today. If you have some time to mess with the audio effects and video effects, go ahead and do that for fun. But today it's mostly transitions we'll be working with. Here, under the PP Music Video, that's your palette. So once we import stuff, that's where you're going to be getting all your video and audio files. So let's go ahead and import. We're going to click on File, Import, find our folder, and then I like to open it up and just move in. You can move the whole folder, but I like to just move in the stuff that you are going to use, because there's extra stuff in that folder that we don't need to worry about, that we don't need necessarily in our project. Okay, so click on all those, hit Import. Takes a couple of minutes to import. Okay, it's imported. And the reason we can't see it is because we're on the Effects tab. So we want to go to the Music Video tab. And what will happen is it will show up in that. And there we are. There's audio and there's video. Okay. So all you have to do is click and drag. So I'm going to mess with my Russian. Oops, I want the Russian rally. And here it says change. And go ahead and do that because you want to change the sequence to the video you're using. So click change. And so there's my first video that I want to mess around with. And this is kind of cool because if you want to really work fine-tune, you want to stretch this out as long as you can. And so what happens is this thing now is really long. I'm scrolling to the right and that goes on forever. You're messing with the frames per second kind of deal, but I just for my own cleanliness and just kind of being able to see it all, I like to stretch it to the right, and then now I can see the whole video. Okay, and now I can bring in anything else I want. With audio, drag it. If you drag it to a video line, notice you don't see it, but as soon as you drag it to an audio, it shows up. So if you're here going, it's not there, it is. Just go to your audio, and I'm going to just drop it in here. Okay. So I have two things in for now that I'm going to play around with. First thing we want to do though is, because these videos have music already, so I want to get rid of that music. So I'm going to go to Clip, and I'm going to scroll down to Unlink. Okay. And now what happens is you hit Unlink, and you have unlinked that audio, and you can now, if you notice, it's two separate. You have your video and your audio. Okay, but remember, you can't do anything until that is highlighted. For here, it turns darker blue. Okay, so here's the video line 1, and then here's the audio. So you hit click on audio, and now you hit delete, and that music for their video is now gone. And now you can mess with your own. You could attach your other audio to it so it plays. Are you going to be my girl? Whatever you want to do. But you're going to make some cuts too. I want you guys to make at least 15 cuts. I want you to put in part of the other video that's over here on your palette, my skiing video. And I just want you to clip back and forth, putting stuff in, playing with transitions. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that for now. We're going to click on the razor tool, and this is just like in the old days, they used to stretch the film out and actually cut it physically and then tape it with editing tape. But now we do it all magically. So we click on our razor, and now we have the razor tool in our hand, and anywhere you want to cut, you can cut. I like to cut on the red line because it helps me keep a pretty clean cut. So if I want to cut here, I move that red line to there. So play around, see what you want to cut out and what you want in your video. Once you make a cut, you can now go back to the pointer tool, selection tool, and now you can select those different pieces. Now you have 2 pieces, so if I want to, I could delete that, and it's gone. If I freak out and go, I don't want that, hit undo. Nice thing about Adobe is you can undo a lot. Okay, so you can do that with your audio. You can cut audio with your razor. Pointer tool, don't forget to go to the pointer tool when you want to manipulate, because what will happen is, see, I'm going to delete that. Oh, no, I don't. I want to go back up. Undo it. Okay. But don't continue to point and cut with your razor, because if you do that, you'll just start cutting the whole thing up a lot of times. So pointer tool to manipulate and move around. So here I want to move this out, move it over here. And what's cool about this is you have a couple of different video lines that you can play with. So you could put video on all 3 of these lines, audio on all 3 of these lines, and play them. As long as they're in order, okay, even if we're up here, and this were down here, if this were in order, it's still going to play normally. You don't have to have them actually back to back to back. Okay? So, okay, so now let's talk about some transitions. In order to get to the transitions, you have to move from your palette to the effects palette, if you will. And there they are. Let's go ahead and just audio transitions. Click on those. They're mostly just the fades. That's all we're really going to be using. 3 different types. Mess around with those. All you have to do is click and drag to the audio, not the video, because it's not going to show up on video. Audio, and see how it has a little yellow with the transition, and you want it on the end, and it will show up on the end. Okay, so now it's going to fade out at the end, or it's going to be the constant gain on the end. Exponential fade is the one you see probably most often. Okay, let's go to video transitions. Click on those. Now you have a few more. You can have some of the same that the iMovie had, but for us, go ahead and play with the different types, the page peel and the slides and the wipes and all that. But as we get into more creating sophisticated videos, we're going to be using the dissolve most often. But go ahead and play with the other transitions. And again, they have a couple different cubes. Let's do the cube spin, and we just stick this to the, again, it won't show up on the audio. It has to go to the video. So let's go ahead and just click it to that, and you have your transition. Okay? So anytime you want to transition, it just goes right to the end, and it'll show up there. Okay? So go ahead and play around today. Have some fun. Call me over when you need help. Bye.